Looking at the top of the German air tree right now, you would think, oh hey, that looks pretty good. Well, after all, you have a good MiG-23, Phantom, and the MiG-29, in which you would be right, as of now. However, there is one key issue with the high-tier German air tree, and I will be discussing it in this video. After an opening like that, I'm sure at least some of you may be saying, "Hey Valk, how is that possible? It looks perfectly fine to me." In which I would like to sort of give my explanation of annoyances that led to the spark that finally got me writing this video. So, we will have to wind the War Thunder clock back quite a bit. Back in Update New Power, the Soviet air tree got a new shiny toy, the MiG-21 bis. Now, at the time, Germany and Russia both had MiG-21s they got in Update Northern Wind, performing similarly to one another, the MiG-21 SMT and MiG-21 MF. However, in terms of performance, the MiG-21 bis was like a MiG-21 SMT on steroids, with an upgraded engine and capability of carrying 2 more R-60s. Which, at the time, were very flippin' good missiles, possibly the best IR missiles in game. Now, why am I bringing up the MiG-21 bis? Well, Germany also operated versions of said aircraft, yet they did not receive it. Now, let's jump forwards 3 updates. Red Skies was the update that introduced aircraft's rank 7, along with a few new planes. Most notably, Russia received the MiG-23M, which was the first fixed-wing aircraft to feature all-aspect missiles. The R-60M easily took the spot of the best short-range infrared missile in the game. But that's not all. The MiG-23M also introduced the R-23R and T. The R was a relatively decent radar missile, just barely managing to compete with the AIM-7E. But the T also had an all-aspect seeker head, and the same rough range as the R. With this, long-range infrared missiles, all-aspect infrared missiles, and infrared search and track were implemented into the game, all on a vehicle with a sweeping wing. Germany was another country that operated a variant of the MiG-23M, however, they did not receive it. And to make matters worse, Germany still had no MiG-21 bis. Finally, after 5 major updates and 20 days shy of a year, Germany would receive a MiG-21 bis. Now, they should be able to compete, right? Wrong. In the same update, Russia was given yet another MiG-23, the MiG-23 MLD. The MiG-23 MLD easily took the spot of top dog of top-tier air, boasting the upgraded R-24R and T with higher G-overload, longer range, and faster acceleration than the R-23s, along with, at the time, what was the best radar set in the game. The MiG-23 MLD was also much more maneuverable than the MiG-23M, being able to pull higher AOA. In this state, nearly no one could compete in top tier, save the Swedish and the Japanese. Germany simply, well, suffered. Finally, 3 updates after the Soviets received the MiG-23M, in Update Winged Lions, Germany got the chance to receive the MiG-23 MF. Well, sort of. Gaijin had the brilliant idea of having it be an event vehicle, making it impossible to get without spending money once the event was over. With the best plane in the German tree locked behind a paywall and the world of BVR becoming much more prominent, Germany barely held on. In Update Winds of Change, Germany received their counterpart to the MiG-23 MLD. Boasting the same avionics and weapons, the MiG-23 MLA is like a side grade to the MiG-23 MLD. The main difference between the models is that the MLD has access to leading-edge slats, giving it the ability to pull more AOA, whereas the MLA does not, which in turn allows it to have a better energy retention rate. Great. Now that we've done the MiGs almost all the way up to the MiG-29, let's take a step back again, this time winding back to back in March of 2020, America received a new plaything. I'm sure you can guess where this is headed. The F-4E arrived in the American tree. It had leading-edge slats, more well known as the Agile Eagle upgrade. With 8 very effective missiles, it took its place as the top dog of top-tier air. Now, Germany operated an export variant of effectively the same plane with minimal changes, known as the F-4F. The changes to the plane would take away some of the features that made the F-4E so great in-game. However, this was not introduced along with the F-4E and F-4EJ. Now, the F-4F was by no means as good as the F-4E. It still would have been an appropriate addition to help Germany keep up at top-tier air. But yet again, Germany was given the short end of the stick. Finally, 6 days shy of a year, and yet again after 5 updates, Germany receives the F-4F early! Now, this would be the first instance of Germany receiving one of its best top-tier vehicles as an event vehicle, this happening before the incident of the MiG-23 MF, locking it behind a paywall for those who had not been able to finish the event. The F-4F early did not receive quite a few things that would make life easy, such as flares or a CCIP. It was still effective, simply not as effective as the American counterpart, as it lacked the Sparrows which made the F-4Es so potent. In Update Red Skies, Germany finally received a tech tree modification of the F-4F in the F-4F Late, which had the CCIP and countermeasures the early had lacked, along with new guided weapons, finally putting Germany into the functional top-tier cast zone. So, what does this all have to do with the spark of my annoyance? Well, it's simple. Update Apex Predators. Update Apex Predators introduced yet another Soviet-era jet used by the Germans, the MiG-29A. The MiG-29, with its HMD and R-27ERs, quickly made itself the top dog of War Thunder's top-tier air, yet Germany's best air-to-air contender would still be a MiG-23, which could take out a MiG-29 if the pilot was really skillful or lucky. But instead of adding the MiG-29s in the same update altogether like Gaijin did the F-16s, they chose to wait for a whole other major update to add Germany's MiG-29, finally bringing Germany to contend in top-tier air. Now, this is annoying, but that's not the main source of the spark. Let's head over to something more recent. On August 4th of this year, 2023, Gaijin announced the Summer Extreme event, bringing a boat, 2 armored cars, and the Su-25 BM-558 ARZ. In the Su-25's weapon description, Gaijin mentioned it getting R-73s, a missile usable by the MiG-29 that Gaijin did not add to the fulcrum for balancing purposes. You can just hear the air quotes. A comment on the dev blog for the Su-25 had questioned whether or not the MiG-29 and Yak-141 would receive R-73s, with an administrator responding, "The MiG-29 and Yak-141 will not be receiving the missile for now. The BM will be the first aircraft with the missile, and it's possible the Su-39 and Su-25T may receive it later in the future. The missile's potential impact depends very much on the carrier. It's an entirely different matter if a fighter aircraft like the MiG-29 and Yak-141 have the missile." great, but what does this all have to do with anything? Oh. In this coming update, Gaijin is directly going back on what they said, adding the MiG-29 SMT to the Russian air tree. It's like a MiG-29A with a slightly better radar, more fuel, R-73s, R-27 ETs, which is a missile I really wanted to use, and KH-29TDs along with the CAB 500 KRs. Now, the added ability of Ground Strike is great, with one of the longest range TV-guided missiles in-game. The air-to-air ability is what really sets me off. There's no direct confirmation from Gaijin, but on the English dev stream, Maiko's Boom replied to a viewer wondering if the German Fulcrum would receive the R-73s and R-27 ETs as well, which he answered no to. Now, there's still no confirmation, however, this is yet again a situation where Germany would receive the short end of the stick. This time, compared to something so potent, it's most likely going to dominate top tier until something else is added, making top tier nearly unplayable unless you are in said aircraft. In this case, it is the MiG-29 SMT, as the SMT now has both radar and IR missiles that outclass most Western counterparts, all on an already very capable aircraft. Hey all, post-update Valk here. Just wanted to say that I recorded this whole thing back around the time of the first dev server, so if there's anything that seems odd, I'll sort of retcon it as I go. For the very capable airframe part, however, the SMT on live server, its flight performance is like that of a Phantom or a Delta Wing aircraft. You turn once at a lower speed, you lose all your speed, and it hardly turns at all whatsoever in general. On top of that, the Russian predecessing MiG-29, the 913, also got a flight model nerf, leaving Germany with the only good flight model MiG-29, so I guess we can call that a win. Do you see why this is the straw that broke the camel's back for me? The German MiG-29 was also capable of using the same new potent IR missiles used by the SMT, yet Germany again will most likely have to wait between 1 to 3 updates to get the new shiny things that would no longer be new and shiny when they receive them. I guess what I'm saying is that Germany has been being outclassed for so long, and it is simply unfair for it to happen again, specifically in the way that it is potentially going to be in this next update. And because I know there are some of us out there who simply don't have time to grind a whole air tree simply for the SMT. Anyways, that just about rounds off the video. If you agree with my, we'll call them opinions, let me know in the comments. If you don't, and hope I die a horrible, painful death, also let me know, because that's viewer interaction, and it'll feed my stuff through the algorithm. Speaking of algorithm, now is my mandated time to request that you like and or subscribe. Ideally both. I know I don't upload very regularly, but I hope to be changing that someday. And I'm gonna ideally be keeping my content style relatively similar, if not just making my video production process a bit more streamlined and providing crisper, better, well-edited content. Anyways. Discord server's probably going to be in bio, and Valk out. Until next update. Later, y'all. Beautiful.